video, I showed you that I had changed my filtration system on the indoor pond, which is right here, just a quick glance of things. And what I did with respect to the filters is to modify the tower shower I had on the outdoor pond last summer. I reduced it by cutting it in half to get the height accommodation that I needed down in the basement here. And it's been functioning very, very well. And definitely seems to be helping. The fish are looking well. They're really enjoying the added space. Now that I took that divider out that I had shown previously as well. The filter, as I said, is working well. And what I am doing now to replace the shower is I'm actually putting in a bakki shower. I'm just going to go into the work area here in the basement, so bear with me for a second. So what I have done is I have purchased 3 of these bins. They are 24 inches long, 15 inches wide approximately, and 15 inches high. It's a straight walls inside, flat bottom, as you can see. And what I'm going to be doing is connecting 3 of these together to make them into a bakki shower. Now I have already cut the bottom out of one, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Let me just move this one out of the way, and I'll get the other one to show you what I am doing. Alright, so here's the first bin that I've been working on. Again, you can see it looks exactly the same as the other one, with the exception that I have cut the bottom out, left a support piece in the middle just to help support the screening that's going to be going in there to support the media when it's in place. That will leave me lots of open area to put the media in, and the water will easily drain through because there's going to be minimal collection of water on this strip here, and a little bit on the edges where the media trays will be supported. So that will be like that. Both the first and second layer of the tower will have that fitting in it. And I'm just going to grab a piece of the media tray here. I'll put that in and show you what that is. Okay, so I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that on there. I'll just try and tilt it up a little bit for you. So this is an 8-crate media that I have in here, or that's what it's called anyway, is an 8-crate tray, I should say, not media, sorry. And what I'm going to do is, it is reasonably secure. The media that's going in itself is relatively light, and I will provide that a little bit later on in the video, just a quick overview of what that media is. But I'm going to be doing 2 layers of this screening just to give it that added little bit of strength with the media in. So this tray, as I said, will be the first or second tray. The first or second tray, the other container, whichever that happens to be, will be cut in the same manner. And then the final one, rather than having the openings like this in it, will be fitted with 2 2-inch uniseals, one approximately here, one on this side, and I'll show you that once the holes are done and the uniseals are in place. That will be connected to the plumbing fittings for the return to the pond. Now in this case, because of the positioning of the filter itself, it's not going to have like a spillway or anything like that connected to it, because it will not be adjacent to the actual pond itself. It's going to be sitting back a few feet. And I will bring that to you once I have it kind of in place outdoors, hopefully before too long, as I get the pond ready for this pond season. So I'm going to cut the next one. I'll get that done now. I'm not going to show you sort of cutting it out. You've all seen things like that before. I will do that one, and then when I get the holes drilled for the bottom of the bottom tray, then I will bring you a video of that as well. It is May the 8th on Monday morning at about 11 o'clock, and we have an absolutely gorgeous day here today. Just a little bit of light cloud, sun is shining. We are expecting a high temperature of approximately 19 degrees today, which is just fantastic. The last week or two have been very cold and extremely wet. Probably not uncommon to a lot of you folks in the UK, but the temperatures were down into the single digits overnight most days, and it was raining so hard you couldn't get anything done outside. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to plug along and get my hopefully get the plumbing all sorted out for the Easy Pods and into my moving bed filter here. What I have done so far, and that's it's not fully installed at the moment, but it is fit in pieces, kind of lined up so I can get it in there. So I have a slide valve you can see here on the first Easy Pod, and another one over there on that one. All the plumbing now coming into the filters from the pond with 4-inch bottom drain feeding 4-inch pipe that is going to feed the Easy Pods as a reducer, which will go from the 4-inch pipe to the gate valve, which is 3-inch, which then feeds the Easy Pod. That's going to be the same on both. And what I'm going to be working on today to try and get finalized as well is getting the return from the filter here, and the same on the other side, down into that fitting, sorry, just down there, which will be the returns, as I said, from the Easy Pods into the moving bed filter, and that is still connected from last year. So all the pipe work, with the exception of immediately where it joins into the Easy Pod and the 3-inch fittings, is going to be 4-inch, so that would allow much better flow of the water through it. And that's my goal, is to kind of get that in place now. Once that is done, I'm going to have to work on getting a new return line from the filter pit here to the pond, which is just over there. Those of you who have seen earlier videos, I did experience a major leak issue last year and capped off the 2 mid-water return lines in the filter pit here and sealed them up completely inside the pond, because that's where the leak was occurring. The water has been holding in there all winter long, so I think everything is looking okay there. As I said, what I have to do now, however, is once the connections are all made for the filtration system, is get a new return line, or a couple of return lines that are going to go underground over to the filter, or sorry, over to the pond, just past my food dog there, and that will hopefully get things up and running the way they are supposed to go. I went out to the plumbing supply place the other day, have picked up a number of other fittings, just various elbows, etc. Here I'm going to need some rubber boots for some connections there. Also picked up a couple of what we call check valves, or non-return valves. The ones that I was using previously on the filtration system, such as this one here, they are spring activated, and while they do work very, very well, the springs are relatively strong, which makes added strain on the pump to get the water through there. And because of the design of these, you cannot take them apart to adjust or alter the spring in any way if need be. The new valves I picked up are like a double union one. They can come apart. The spring is not nearly as strong. And I'm using one on my indoor pond just to prevent backflow from the filters into the pump, because it's a pump-fed system down there, and the non-return valve or check valve has worked very, very well. So what I'm going to do now, as I said, is I'm going to get working on connecting the 2 Easy Pods to the fittings that are going to go into my moving bed filter, and with any luck I will have that portion of it connected today, ready to go, and then it's just going to be a matter of sorting out the return lines from the pump, which will be in the pump chamber barrel here, going to the pond. One thing I do have to sort out, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet, is to reinstall my ultraviolet clarifiers and get those up and running as well. I've got some ideas on how that's going to work, just not quite sure exactly yet. So on that note, I'm going to put the camera down. Now, once I have the new bits and pieces kind of all hooked up here and ready to go from the filter themselves into the moving bed and the pump chamber here, once that's done, then I'm going to work on getting the return lines figured out. I've got a pretty good idea what I want to do and how I'm going to do that. I will bring that to you a little bit later on in the video. On that note, though, I'm going to put things down once I have the plumbing bits in place here, I will definitely show you everything and give you just a quick overview as to how I'm hoping it will operate. So thanks again for hanging in there in this part of the video, and I will be back with some additional information soon. It is Tuesday morning, May 16th at approximately 10 a.m. and I am outside here working on my filter reconfiguration. It's a lovely day, a little overcast. The sun is shining. It's supposed to warm up quite a bit later on, which would be really nice. We're now starting to get a few of the trees and everything coming into bloom. My lilac bush there, a black lace elder just coming up. That was planted last year. It's coming along nicely. Unfortunately, we also have some weeds coming up at the same time. That said, however, what I have been doing in the last couple of weeks is working on redoing the filter system. So I'm going to get into the pit now and just kind of show you what I've done and just explain a little bit to you. So as you can see here, I have the two EasyPod filters. That's my moving bed, and this chamber here is where my pump is housed. And here I have two different EA70 air pumps, one of which is running the moving bed as well as the air on the bottom drain to the pond. The second one here is the one that will be operating when I'm doing cleaning for the EasyPods. Now, what I mentioned earlier in the video was reconfiguring the plumbing to change it from 3-inch to 4-inch, and I have done that and it's running now. So the main valve to the bottom drain is right here. That's a 4-inch valve. It comes in through a T, then up to a 3-inch valve, which is feeding this EasyPod. The T then continues through this pipe here, through a 4-inch pipe, up to another 3-inch valve into the second EasyPod. And what that allows me to do now is have both EasyPods, although they're feeding off the same drain, the water flows directly from the drain to both EasyPods. And when it's time to do maintenance or anything like that on the filters, I can close one by just shutting the gate valve here, or the other one, and still leave one running completely while I'm doing the bubbling, etc. for cleaning purposes. The water flow is significantly improved over what it was last year with the 3-inch pipe and having the two EasyPods kind of running in parallel. I have also increased to 4 inches the returns from the EasyPod, this one here and the one on the far side there, which now go down into a T, and those are what is feeding the moving bed filter here. And as you can see, that one then just feeds down through this pipe here into my pump chamber, as I call it. It's a submersible pump. The reason I have it set up this way is it gives me sort of better control as the water coming in and out. Just makes things a bit easier to operate. This device here is a float switch that if the water level for any reason drops below a certain point, it will automatically shut off the pump so that I don't end up pumping excess water out of the pond or causing any issues here. The EasyPods and the moving bed filter, as well as my pump chamber if necessary, drain into my sump barrel down here, and that's connected to a sump pump which is located down in the pit. It runs up here through the wall, underground, and then out to waste. And what I have done as well this year, because of the leak issues I had last year, is I've reconfigured the returns to the pond, and rather than having to go through the walls where the leaks were identified last year and I was having trouble sealing them, so I finally just capped it right off and resealed the liner at that point. I have these two lines here. So it's one line coming up from the pump, which is in the chamber. It's a 40 to 180 gallon an hour pump. It comes up, splits through this piece here into the two lines, and as you can see, there is a valve on both lines which allows me to control the flow going into the pond if I need to reduce it at all. The pipes run underground up to the two returns you can see there beside the EasyPod lids. They then go over the wall into the pond, and I have both of them facing in the same direction to get current from this end of the pond here down to that end. The idea being that as the water flows, give the fish some exercise. It will also allow the debris or fish waste, anything like that, to be kind of gradually pushed towards the bottom drain, which is at this end of the pond. And the configuration in here, the only thing I have not done yet is determine exactly where my ultraviolet unit is going to go. Last year it sat underneath the plumbing here, down on another shelf that I've removed to allow me to get some work done in here. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to configure that yet. As you can see, the water's quite green. This was the original sort of water, if you will, from over the winter. I haven't done a change yet. I have cleaned both this filter and the Easy Pods because it was getting very clogged with sediment, etc., that had accumulated in the winter in the pond. So having cleaned that, kind of getting a much better flow. Last year, just because of the configuration, the water level in my pump chamber here would have been down at least another 6-8 inches below what it is now, so it's running absolutely beautifully. So I'm very, very happy with what I've accomplished there. It took some time to kind of sort things out, as you can see by the plumbing. That was a little bit of a nightmare trying to get all the pieces in place, trying to figure out how everything is going to work. And as you will notice is I have rubber boots connecting the plumbing in various places, both to the filters and to the moving bed. And what that does is that allows me, if necessary, to disconnect the units without having to, quite literally cut apart all the plumbing. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue going forward, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I am also working on a DIY bakki shower. I hope to have that together in the next couple of days, and you would have seen the parts of that earlier on in the video. So I'm just out working on the stand that's going to support that. That will, once in place, will feed these two lines here, two 2-inch lines into the 3-inch one, and that returns underground here into the pond. But there's another piece to connect over there in the at the pond once that's all set to go, but that should be done soon. My upflow filters, you can just see the tops of them over my door here. They will also be connected. So what will happen is the water from a separate pump, which will be going through that line there, be fed from the pump chamber through that line underground to the upflow filters as it was last year. The upflow will then feed the bakki shower, which in turn will then feed the pond. So things are progressing. I have also installed a automatic refill in the pond itself. So if any evaporation occurs, which of course it will, as well as when I clean the filters and the water loss through there, the water will refill automatically by that valve. And that's kind of it for the moment. I'm going to get working on the stand for the bakki shower. I'm hoping to have that completed today, and actually with any luck have the shower up and running either later today or tomorrow. And I'm going to show you the media and how I put that in there as well. And the black dog over here, I think you probably haven't seen before. It's my son's dog. I'm kind of dog sitting him at the moment. And that one, of course, you've seen in other videos. That's my girl Cinnabon. So on that note, I'm going to carry on and get the stand built, get the bakki shower components put together. They're all drilled and everything all ready to go. It's just a matter of kind of getting the stand done so I can get them out here, check for positioning, etc., and get things up and running. And as I said, hopefully that will be a bit later on today. So I will get back to you with another segment of the video shortly. It is Thursday, May 18th. It is a very nice day here, as you can see from the sky and the lack of cloud. It is a little on the chilly side, however. It's about 14 degrees. It was 1 degree this morning with frost on the cars and on the roofs of the houses. But it did warm up somewhat. And I am out here, I've been working on the bakki shower. So there's the first tier in place now. The plumbing lines you can see underneath here feed the two lines here that were feeding from the tower shower last summer. So they have been connected to the two outlets here on the first tier of the tray, and the media itself is just going to be kind of piled in here, and I'll show you that media in a moment. And then the other two trays will go on top of that, and that will be connected to the fitting up here from the upflow filters. So that's going to be happening soon. So I'm going to get that going. I'll get the media connected, or in the shower I should say, and we'll show you how that looks, and then I'll get the fittings done and hopefully have things up and running in the next little while. The media that I am using is this media here. It's the Hydro Aquarium biofiltration media. There are 40 pieces in the box. Those of you who follow Stubbs Aquatics on YouTube will know that Chris is a very strong supporter of Hydro products for his aquarium. While I was looking for a reliable source and at a reasonable price for media, I came across the Hydro one here, and so that's what I chose to use in the filter. And I'll just show you a piece here. So that's what it looks like. Approximately 6 inches long, an inch or so square, maybe a little bigger. Has a hole down the middle. Appears to be very, very porous. Now I'm not sure how well it's going to react and work once it is in the filter chamber itself. I'm just kind of tossing them in. This is the second tier. I have 2 boxes in there now. I'm going to rinse out one more, which will bring it up to that 3 I mentioned a moment ago. I'm just kind of tossing it in randomly here, trying to fill in a few gaps. I'll put one more box in, and then the top tray will go on, and I will show you once I have that and the spray bar in place. So I'll be back with you in just a short little while. It is Monday, May 22nd, approximately 4:45 in the afternoon, and I have finally managed to get my plumbing sorted out for the reconfiguration in the filter pit. I will get in there and show you that in a moment. And I'm happy to say everything is up and running the way I had hoped, with one minor exception at the moment, and I still haven't quite figured out how I'm going to install the ultraviolet units yet. I do have an option or a few options in mind, and you do have to work on that yet, but the filters are finally running, and I've added a new bakki shower, a DIY one, to the filter system. And I'll just move my door, you can see it there. It's a 3-tier system, about 24, each tray is 24 inches wide, approximately 15 inches in height. There's 3 trays. The media I had shown earlier in the video, and the spray bar, of course, on the top is being fed by my upflow filters over there. Water comes from the pump down in the pump chamber, which is down here, goes through that line there, underground into the upflow filters, which in turn feeds the shower spray bar, and then from there the lines go underground into the pond. And the easy pods, as you can see, it looks a little complicated down in there. It's really not too bad. So if you bear with me for a second, I'm just going to climb down in and give you an idea of what I did. So here we are inside the pit now. So I have the 2 easy pod filters here. And I think I'd mentioned a bit earlier in the video kind of how the setup works. So I've got this is the main valve coming from the bottom drain. It feeds through a T-piece into the first easy pod, which is this one here. It has its own 3-inch slide valve or gate valve on it, as does the second easy pod here. This line from the T continues around to feed the easy pod, so both of them are being fed directly from the bottom drain. Unlike last year where one was fed, which in turn fed the other one, they're now each fed independently. This is the drain line, of course, for cleaning the easy pod there and there, which comes into my sump barrel, which is down there. And the outlets from the easy pods, this is outlet to the number 1, the first pod, outlet number 2 there for the second pod, joins at that T-piece there and comes into my moving bed filter, which is here. And then from there, the moving bed feeds the pump chamber there, and these are the lines that are returning to the pond directly from the main pump. And you can see the lines coming up there beside the food dog, so they're right against the wall. I had to install them that way because I had the leak issues last year, as you may recall in earlier videos, and I took the lines, capped them off both inside the pond and down here in the filter pit. That was kind of the lines just down in there, and you can see in order to seal up the leak that I was having. And knock on wood, everything has been working very, very well. The pond held water all winter long. It's been doing great since I set it up this year, so I'm quite pleased with that. Just wanted to point out, you can see the color of the water. The reason it is that color is I did a major PP treatment on the pond this afternoon. Once I had everything up and running, I wanted to give it a PP treatment just to make sure there were no little nasties or anything in there from the winter, even though the koi had not been in there for the better part of the year last year because of the issues I was having with the leak. So it's kind of a nasty brown at the moment. It was a deep purple when I put it in. I put it in at the rate of 2 grams per 100 gallons. So this is 5,000 gallon setup, including the filters. So I used 100 grams of potassium permanganate in total in there, and it's been kind of running since about 1 this afternoon. When the PP first went in, it's now turned sort of the brown, and that will kind of dissipate fairly quickly. So I'm not too worried about that. I do have hydrogen peroxide. I can neutralize it to clear it up later on if need be. I'm going to let it run for a day or so like this. Just let it kind of clear naturally. The lines themselves, the two that you see here, this one here and the one on the far side, coming over the wall there, they are the ones that are coming, the returns from the bakki shower and the upflows. And these are the two new lines, again being fed underground from the filter pit into the pond here. These two are replacing the returns that were in the pond that did get sealed up because of the leak. So it's definitely taking shape. It's taken me a while to get around to it, which is why I hadn't sort of gotten to get the video out sooner. Quite a bit of configuration and thinking and everything to make the connections work in the pit the way I wanted to get them done. And it may look a little kind of complicated down there. It's not all that bad once I had managed to kind of sort out what I was doing. As you can see, most of the lines connect to the easy pods and to the moving bed, etc. via rubber boots, so they are removable. If need be, I can also and will be disconnecting them for the winter so that nothing freezes, and I wanted to make sure I was able to do that without having to cut pipe or anything like that. The two air pumps here are Evolution Aqua AP70 models. The first one here is running the moving bed filter and also the bottom dome air in the pond. The second pump, this one here, is the one that is used. It's only turned on when I'm cleaning either the upflow filters or the easy pod filters, so it's really a secondary and won't be running all the time. What I also managed to get set back up again and working seems to be quite well at the moment, let's come around to that, is the automatic fill valve, which is right here. It is just trickling a little bit of water in at the moment, just keeping the level topped up. What I did notice today once I got things running in the filters pit was that the drain valve for the upflow filters, which is that one you can see just above the second easy pod there, that is leaking slightly down into my sump. So in essence, I'm not too worried about that at the moment. I might change it later on, but in essence what that has given me is really a trickle in, trickle out, because as that water comes into the sump, when it gets to a certain point, the sump pump that's in there has an automatic float on it. It will empty the reservoir there, and while that is filling to the point where it's going to empty, of course the fill valve over there in the pond is keeping the level up where it's supposed to be. So I'm hoping to have everything up and running 100% with the pond set to go and get the fish in here in the next week or so. The water is still extremely cold compared to the indoor pond at the moment, so I do need a few more days, a week or so of warmer weather to warm things up sufficiently to bring them out without any temperature shock. And then my last challenge will be just determining where the UV units are going to go. As I said, I do have a couple options here. They can be mounted on the wall just above the pipework that you see where the pump chamber is. Alternatively, they can be mounted to that line coming from the pump into the upflow filters. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. I have space to do a couple of different methods. Once that's done, putting in like elbows or T-pieces, whatever it may be, and valves just to isolate if need be. So that is in the works, and I hope to get something done on that reasonably soon. So on that note, I will bring you some updates as I start moving the fish out. As always, I do appreciate your support and your comments. If you have any comments or questions, anything like that that you would like to let me know or leave behind, please feel free to do so below in the comment section. Please give me a like and thumbs up, as your support is very much appreciated. And I will leave you there. So I hope everybody's enjoying the nicer weather that we all seem to be getting. Ponds are getting sort of more active. As I said, we're definitely behind temperature-wise here compared to you lucky folks in the UK, but things are definitely progressing. And hopefully the next time that I'm showing you the pond, the water will be crystal clear and not this color. And again, the reason, as I mentioned a moment ago, is strictly because of the PP treatment that I put in there, which has now kind of lost its effectiveness by digesting the organic matter and so on that was in here. But it should give me a very good clean pond from a parasite standpoint to move the koi in the next little while. So thank you all again. Take care, and I hope to bring you another update with the koi as I start to move them out and get some measurements and some better video of them as well. Thanks all. Be back with another video before